Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at the Infiltrator. That's the guy you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first part of the video, and in the second part of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, the mutations and everything else you need to know in order to recreate the character. Now, what this is going to be about is this is one of the more silly builds that I put together, and for the simple reason that we're using power armor and stealth. Now, the reason I wanted to do this is I actually wanted to do this for quite a while, simply because, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's not a good idea. You're not stealthy when you are in power armor, but for some reason Bethesda seems to think that this kind of build is a possibility that someone maybe wants to do. I'm not quite sure why they would think this works out. The reason I'm talking about this is because of the modification for power armor. You have a stealth boy modification. Now, there is an argument that you could say maybe they had PvP in mind when it came to this mod. However, I don't really think that's the case, because it's pretty clear that Bethesda never really thought about PvP in this game a whole lot. It was just an option that was put in there. And yeah, even though the modification is kind of expensive, like it's on par with things like calibrated shocks and emergency protocols. So yeah, I think that's a bit too much. We're talking about like 7,200 caps, I think it was, for the modification, which is kind of nuts, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend buying it, actually. I kind of regret it. I mean, it's not the world or anything, but yeah, it's not cheap either. Yeah. After all, I just wanted to take a look at it and see how viable this can be. Now, one thing should be entirely clear. It is possible to make it work, kind of. You're never going to be as good at sneaking as a character that doesn't use power armor, but I wouldn't recommend doing it. It's just not worth it. Main reason is that you don't have any benefit from being in power armor. You see, the benefit from power armor is mainly just your better survivability. You're just way more tanky than outside of power armor. And for example, when you're using heavy weapons, then you can make the argument that yeah, you have an additional benefit from stabilized, better armor penetration and stability for your guns. But that's about it, actually. There's not a whole lot of reasons to use power armor. Now, I do use the targeting HUD, which is kind of cool. Feels kind of appropriate for a stealth character. So, would be nice if we could have some headwear that works like this. But, I mean, you could always just use Berryman heads, I think it is. But overall, there's, yeah, simply no good reason to do this, other than maybe you are in for it for the challenge. That you just say, hey, standard stealth is just too easy for me, which I could completely get. Once your character is done, a standard stealth character in this game basically doesn't involve a lot of challenge anymore. It's pretty straightforward. You just go into crouching and there's pretty much no way you're getting detected anymore. Pretty simple. Now, on this occasion, we're doing this at daylight. I did record the video before, and that was during the nighttime, which really helped for some reason. Like, yeah, worked way better. But after all, you won't stay hidden all of the time. That's just a given. One thing we can do, we do carry stealth boys with us. We're also having the secret agent, I think it's called, perk, that makes them last longer. In fact, we will use them relatively soon when we're fighting the Scorch Beast. And yeah, that's something you can always keep in mind. The options there. Now, where exactly is this? Bloatfly. Alright, seem to have worked. Yeah, they were kind of on the ground. Well, anyways, now they're gone. It takes a bit of a different approach to make a power armor stealth character. Mainly what I'm talking about is that you really have to think about how you approach situations way more than you would otherwise. As I said before, if you have a dedicated sneak character with all the legendary armor, either unyielding with a low health build or a chameleon with a full health build, yeah, you can do whatever you like basically. You just approach enemies and that's it, while you're crouched. Now, when it comes to a power armor stealth character, you just have to think about your situation way more, like similar to it how stealth works in other games. So you want to avoid line of sight, you want to keep at range and things like that, which honestly I could see how that is an appeal, but on the other hand you could just make a not so dedicated stealth character. So yeah, that's about it. We are not spec'd into VATS, but when it comes to these widespread enemies, yeah, we can use it efficiently. It's not a problem at all. The thing I'm looking for on this occasion is the Scorch Beast, to be honest. I'm not quite sure where that guy is. Usually if I don't find him, he suddenly appears out of nowhere. But on this occasion I just have no clue. I really wanted to show it off. I mean, I'm not pissed that it's not here, because yeah, it's not super spectacular or anything. You can probably imagine how a rifleman against a Scorched Beast goes, but yeah. Well, we're not saying no. Let's just move on from here. The weapon we're using, by the way, is a two-shot Gauss rifle. No particular reason I went for it. I just wanted to use a Gauss rifle because I thought it fit the aesthetic quite well. I also used a automatic handmade when I started, but I just recently made a video with an automatic handmade. Alright, there it is. I think maybe we will, after all, if we can aggro it. Okay, it's kind of in range, so I mean, the damage you're now seeing is not indicative of how the fight is going. Once the Scorched Beast is going to land or get closer, we will have a better time. Alright. I think he's about to land, which is kinda nice for us. Okay, he's directly on top of us, so as long as we're not moving and we have our stealth boy active, we seem to keep hidden quite well. I mean, we can try to go for the head, yeah. Looked a bit silly here, but after all, didn't really matter. You see, as long as we're having Stealth Boy equipped, we don't really have any trouble. Alright, now we have a Deathclaw as well. Things are getting interesting. So, you see, we can stay hidden pretty efficiently. To be honest, the build worked out better than I thought it would. Now, when I started to get this build together, only thing I did was basically I used a high agility sneak character I already had, put power armor on, and just went for some enemies and tried to look how it works. And to be honest, first time I tried it, I was not thinking that there's any way to make this possible at all. But yeah, I mean, I had an approach in mind. What I did, I really wanted to see how efficient the Stealth Boy modification is. Turned out it does definitely help a whole lot. Similar to Chameleon, it only works once you're as long as you're still, so that's a bit of a bummer. It's not working like the Chinese stealth armor, but it has another downside as well, meaning that it drains AP. Even if you're dropping to 0 AP, the Stealth Boy modification does still work. You're still getting your stealth field. The problem is, this approach pretty much locks you out of using VATS. That's the main downside, because you're not regenerating AP. Now, you could probably get away if you're using VATS and use Grim Reaper Sprint, but ultimately, if you're spec'd into VATS, you you don't want to be in a situation where you run out. And Grim Reaper Sprint, at the end, it's still a chance-based thing. So I went for something that's just not relying on stealth at all. Another thing is, we do use two-shot here, which severely messes with our hipfire accuracy. However, we do have all the true modifications, and yeah, they help us out quite well. And yeah, the Gauss rifle itself has relatively good hipfire accuracy, so we're not in a big trouble. Just want to have a good shot on this guy. Okay, maybe stagger him, and yeah. Before he detected us, we could take him out, which is always nice. You don't want to get detected by these guys. I mean, one thing is clear, we are in power armor, which means that even if we're getting detected, we are in a better situation than we'd usually be on a stealth character. So that's kind of cool. However, on the other hand, if you have a really good stealth character, yeah, this doesn't really matter because you're not getting detected anyways. Another thing to keep in mind is with power armor, the escape artist perk doesn't work as well. It still works, however, you really have to get out of sight of an enemy. You have to run around a corridor, for example, and hide, but it does work. After all, another thing to keep in mind, I am using a sneak bobblehead with the curator perk, so it works for 2 hours. Now, I usually am not a big fan of consumables. I say that time and time again. Not that I'm not using them, but I don't want to use them in videos as much, simply because I want to give you a vanilla look at the build, basically. So I know a lot of people are turned off by the idea of relying on consumables. However, one exception I regularly do is the one I'm using now, which is sometimes I do use bobbleheads. For the simple reason that I think bobbleheads are relatively easy to maintain, especially if you're having access to trading forums like on Reddit or Facebook forum or maybe a Discord you are in. You can get certain bobbleheads pretty easy in masses. For trades, meaning one good weapon that you're trading can give you like 100 bobbleheads or something, and once you're there, yeah, with the curator perk, these things just last so long. They're lasting for 2 hours, and think about it, 2 hours of gameplay, that's a lot of time, so you can really run this for a while. Alright, no, not sure how this guy sneaked up on us, but yes. We're now fast traveling to Huntersville, kill some super mutants, and yeah, back to the topic. 2 hours of gameplay, that's quite a long time for just one consumable, which is really manageable if you have like 10 or so of them. For me, for example, I never bothered to buy them from anywhere, and after the time I'm playing, I just have some in my stash. Now, if I were to collect every sneak bobblehead from all of my characters that I just picked up randomly somewhere, I probably have like 8 to 15 or something just from random scavenging, and that means that's like 30 hours of gameplay, so I think this is quite manageable. And the 30% extra sneak, they're really helping. Like, you can do the same build without them, but it's way harder. It just gets way harder, that's the way it is. The 30% really help because otherwise, yeah, you're just getting detected way more often. Now, another reason I wanted to use the Gauss rifle here is the simple fact that it has a very good range. So that's something we want to do in our build here. We want to keep it range. We want to stay far away from enemies. That just helps a whole lot with our stealth. So yeah, having the option, nice to have. Keep in mind, if you are better at aiming and can successfully go for headshots, performance will increase pretty obviously. Now, the thing I'm doing here is pretty much the best approach you can do. Just find yourself a high spot from where you can see all the enemies and then just shoot them. Not move. That's pretty much the most important thing. Your stealth field works when you're still, so you want to stay still. It's something that doesn't matter all that much usually on a stealth build, because even if you're not having the stealth field active, you're pretty stealthy anyways. Not the case here. The moment you're moving, that's really when you're getting into trouble. So do as I did here, maybe use the breaks in between where enemies aren't visible or something to reposition yourself, but other than that, try to stay in the same spot. Last thing I wanted to mention about the power armor here is that using the stealth field also drains your fusion core all of the time, because it drains AP. However, I found it not to be that big of a trouble. It's really going down slow. Alright, this guy here took like 20 shots or something, but keep in mind I already only hit him twice, I think, or maybe 3 times, so yeah, hitting him more often would probably have helped. Now, these guys here, sometimes they peek through this here trouble, but yeah, seems like it's not the case. We're going for the umbrella approach. Now, this is something where we probably get detected. We're ready, we are really close, but as long as we're not moving, we're staying stealthy. Alright, this guy here detected us, but to be honest, like, this is a situation that's just my fault here. And even if we're detected, the railway rifle, the Gauss rifle, it has a pretty good punch, so you don't necessarily rely on sneak all that much. One thing you saw here is we have really fast reload speed. We don't have the faster reload legendary perk. This is just a combination of ground pounder at rank 3 and what's it called? Just have to take a look at it. Quick capacitors, that's what it is. Now, I went for those because you don't have a lot of shots in your magazine. You only have 5 shots before you have to reload, so you're having to reload quite often, and reducing that reload time to a minimum is pretty much a necessity if you're firing against multiple enemies. And usually what you want to do is you want to have piercing capacitors or something, so basically anything that improves your armor penetration, so you do have better damage overall. Thing is though, with a weapon like this that has such a high punch, such high base armor, you're penetrating armor very effectively anyways, so keep in mind we also have tank killer, so overall the armor penetrating capacitors, while they still improve, and sometimes I do like to double dip and go all in on armor penetration, it's not really a necessity. It's just a convenience that you can live without. Keep in mind you can use pretty much every single scope you want here. I went for the recon scope just because I don't use them all that often, and for the rare occasion that I'm not using VETs all that much, yeah, it's nice to have these, because overall they're cool in idea. I don't know how effective or how you could use the targeting mechanism. It just seems like it's nothing that's all that important. Okay, using a stealth boy here, we got out of danger really quickly. Well, we're back in, so didn't really mind. What are we detected from? Well, anyways, okay, there's one. Now here with all the bushes and such, I do try to use VETs a little bit now again, because yeah. Okay. Simply because I don't want to bother to aim as much. This guy here we will take with free aim, as well as this one. So basically the character boils down to 2 consumables. The one you saw here in action is the stealth boy and the sneak bobbleheads. If you have those 2, you can really sneak very efficiently. If you're willing to use stealth boys more, maybe you were into PvP once and don't bother anymore or something. Yeah, if you have a good amount of those, you can even use them to... I think there would probably be nothing in the game you can successfully stealth. Now, I haven't tried a silo. I think that would probably be a bit too tedious, but the interior of Westtech, for example, I did multiple times, and it does work. It's definitely possible. It's hard, you really have to think about who you take out first and everything, but yeah, it's possible. Just take out this guy for no apparent reason, to be honest. Okay, one of the single benefits we do have, yeah, no jump damage, fall damage, sorry, but arguably not the reason you'd want to do that, want to do a stealth character in power armor probably. Now on this occasion I feel like simply because we're using a slow firing weapon, we were a bit slower with the whole gameplay, so this time we won't bother to take out the front. Maybe we do. I'm not quite sure yet. Okay, yeah, there's another boy. Then we have this guy here. I really want to see how well a headshot does. Okay, not quite enough. However, with a follow-up shot and the follow-through legendary perk, yeah. Oh, okay, a 3-star. We'll take that. Okay, just a blind shot, but I think the... Oh, it actually spawned in yet. Okay, so I think that will be enough for the gameplay here. Where is he gone? Okay, interesting. Wasn't the legendary mutant hound here? Was it still upstairs? That's frustrating. Was a 3-star, right? Okay, I probably will get back to it once it... Ah, okay, I see it. Here it is. So, oh right, a hunter's wood left leg. And even a 1-star. Great. So, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay so far. Honestly, as I said, one thing should be clear, there's no good reason to do this. Maybe you want to have it for the aesthetics, that you say you want to be this big fucking tank that's still sneaky. Maybe you just want to have the challenge, but other than that, no good reason to go for it. I just wanted to make this little experiment because I had it in mind for quite a while, and after all, that's what the Foodbuild factory is all about, looking into the less viable things and see how viable you can make them. But anyways, now we're getting a bit more into detail. The weapon here we're using a 2-shot VETS hit chance, faster VETS crits filling Gauss rifle. Now, as I said during the video, we're not spec'd into VETS at all, so the VETS perks arguably not so good for us. Now 2-shot, just a bit more damage on such a high power weapon. You're not losing a whole lot of armor penetration, so you can go for it. If I had to decide, faster reload would obviously be nice, and as a second effect, well, explosive would be legacy, so faster fire, it doesn't really matter all that much. VETS hit shot's probably the best you can get for the occasional VETS shots you do want to take. Other than that, the only thing I could see benefiting you would probably be limb damage, however, even though not that necessary. So we're really after the first effect here. As I said, faster reload would be nice to have. Other than that, that's the weapon. So true stuff in order to help us with hipfire accuracy. When it comes to our armor here, we do have a T60 set. The only thing that's not T60 but T51B is the torso, simply because the Stealth Boy plans I had were for the T51. So obviously you can just use a T60. I haven't tested it, but I'm like 99% sure that it doesn't matter which kind of power armor you're using in terms of stealth. So yeah, pretty much uninteresting. The stealth bomb modification, I wanted to have it. As I said during the video, we do have the targeting HUD just to highlight some enemies nearby, which is kind of cool for this whole Infiltrator theme, but ultimately nothing that's actually really necessary. And lastly, the legs, they do have the vented modification to reduce a little bit of the fusion core drainage that we have, but ultimately I would go for calibrated shocks if I would run this character for a longer while. Just a personal preference, I would go for calibrated shocks. The cooling bands just were on the power armor anyway, so I kept them. And Onto our mutations, we do have Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. Now, 3 of those are not really necessary. Now, Adrenal Reaction, always hit or miss, you don't need it, unless you are a low health build. Eagle Eyes, not necessary here since we're not using Sneak all that much, Vets all that much. So the extra crit damage, unnecessary, as well as the Perception. And Egghead, well, just a little bit more intelligence, you don't need it, I just wanted to have it here. The important part here is Bird Bones, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. Marsupial, always on a character, I have no build without it. Speed Demon, yeah, even more reload speed really helps us here. And Bird Bones, this is arguably the most important mutation here, simply more agility. 4 extra agility. We do want to have as much agility as possible in order to get better with sneaking, and in power armor it's not like with normal armor that you can get legendary armor with the extra agility perk or chameleon armor that helps. So really the only thing that's left for us to do, except for consumables, is to just try to keep our agility as high as possible. Onto our perks. We do have strength 5 with Traveling Pharmacy and Bandolier. None of them are necessary, these are just carry weight perks, so live with them or without them, it doesn't matter all that much, it's just for me to keep on moving. So you can basically reduce strength to 1, it doesn't matter. Perception, bit more important here, we do have all 3 ranks of Rifleman maxed out. We do have Ground Pounder at rank 3 and Tank Killer as well. Now one thing to keep in mind is in Power Armor, if you exit Power Armor and re-enter it, the effects of Ground Pounder don't work anymore, so you have to re-equip it. Now I didn't test it, but I also always re-equip Tank Killer for the simple reason that Stabilized, which basically is the Power Armor version of Tank Killer for heavy weapons, for the longest while was bugged. In the same way as Ground Pounder, meaning if you left your Power Armor and re-entered it, it didn't work anymore. Now Bethesda stated that they fixed it, I haven't looked into it, however I have a good feeling that probably the same problem could be here with Tank Killer, and as much as I know the developers, they probably didn't think about that the problem could affect other perks as well. So yeah, just in case I swapped in Tank Killer again, but you could test that possibly, maybe it's not a problem, but after all I had to re-equip Ground Pounder anyway, so I did it with Tank Killer, that's it. On to Endurance, we do have fairly middle ground, 7 Endurance with Life Giver and Fireproof, just a bit more survivability. We don't have a dense chest since we are in Power Armor, so Fireproof is a good choice here, and Life Giver a bit more hit points. Nothing we desperately need here, pretty straightforward. Onto Charisma, I do have rank 4 of Lone Wanderer. Now, the main benefit we're looking for here... Sorry, just heard combat music. The main benefit here we're looking for is the extra AP regen. The tankiness, obviously cool, but not necessary. Pretty important to have some AP refresh going on, because basically every time you're out of a fight, you will have very low AP. The reason is that our Stealth Boy, as I said, our Stealth Boy modification drains our AP as long as we're not moving and it's active. So what you want to do is you want to stand still in a point, kill your enemies, and once you're done, you basically or most likely are down to pretty much 0 AP. So having a bit of action point refresh going on just to start sprinting again is nice to have. Intelligence is at 8, we do have batteries included and Demo Expert. Now batteries included, pretty straightforward, we do have to carry fusion cores which are very heavy, and furthermore we do have the 2mm electronic cartridges for our Gauss rifle, which are also energy ammo. So yeah, pretty straightforward here. Demo Expert, now when Wastelanders got introduced, we had access to the Gauss minigun and the Gauss pistol, which carried explosive effect basically for energy weapons. It's something new that was introduced to the Wastelanders, and the developers retroactively changed that so the Gauss rifle has the same effect. So we do have basically a TSE weapon here, and yeah, Demo Expert does increase the damage you have, so might as well have it. We have a hard-hitting weapon, we want to make it as hard-hitting as possible. And now we go into the most important perks, stats here, agility and luck. Well, not quite right. The most important ones are perception and agility probably, but yeah, anyways. Agility 15, we want to have as high agility as possible, rank 2 of Action Girl, I just said it. Why we want to have action point refresh going on, even though we're not using that. And then we have Covert Operative, Escape Artist, Secret Agent, Sneak, and Adrenaline. Now Sneak, Escape Artist, and Covert Operative, pretty straightforward. Those are always there if you want to make a sneak character with ranged weapons. They're just increasing your damage and keeping you stealthier, so pretty straightforward here. Secret Agent, now I just said it. In those situations that get a bit tougher, like Scorch Beast fights or maybe even the front yard of Westtech that we didn't do on this occasion, yeah, you want to have stealth boys every now and then, and making them last 4 times longer is really beneficial. Lastly, Adrenaline 3, pretty straightforward, more damage during fights, never a bad idea. You could go for other things here, but honestly, what would you use? Now, Dodgy would just further increase the amount of AP that's reduced, which isn't necessary because we're tanky as hell for the stealth sniper. Same goes for Born Survivor. You could go for Action Girl rank 3 and use rank 2 of Adrenaline or something, but that's about it. And lastly, we do have Luck here, Bloody Mess, for just a bit more of a punch. Overall, the difference is like 40 points of damage. I tested it, unequipping the perk and re-equipping it. Yeah, we went from 378 or something to 414, I think it was. So yeah, I thought it was a good idea to have it here. Starch Genes, we want to have our mutations and don't get new ones, so that's pretty straightforward. Luck of the Draw. Now, the Ghost Rifle doesn't have the best condition in the world. It still uses up a lot of condition, and since we're using Demo Expert, we didn't really have the points to use Gunsmith in order to reduce that, so I might as well thought we could use Luck of the Draw. Procs every now and then. It's not enough to keep our weapon from never breaking, but it definitely makes a difference. Curator, already explained it. We do want to have our bobbleheads active, our sneak bobblehead, and yeah, making them last twice as long makes a good difference, especially for just 1 point of perk investment. And last but not least, we do have Class Freak here. Now, the main benefit from Class Freak for me here is that we have a bit more strength, so a bit more carry weight, but as I already said, I would ideally use calibrated shocks for this character, so carry weight wouldn't be as much of an issue anymore. And what you could do is you could put on Tormentor for a cripple chance, would work kind of well with our 2-shot explosive basically weapon. Quick Hands could be a nice addition, but nothing we desperately need. I just put on Class Freak here. If I don't need it, I would go for Tormentor probably, just to have a little cripple chance going on if we're fighting Scorch Beast or anything. And last but not least, what we do have here is our legendary perks. We do have Follow Through, pretty straightforward for a ranged stealth character. You want to have Follow Through. The enemies that are taking more than 1 shot, yeah, 40% multiplicative damage, really important, really helps. So yeah, Follow Through, no brainer on this occasion. And the rest I just used for more perk points. Intelligence, Strength, Perception, Endurance, and Agility. Not a lot to say about here. Now, if you don't have access to a lot of legendary perks, what you could basically do is, I just said, reduce Strength basically to 1. You just have to be more cautious of what you're carrying. For example, Bandolier, if you really want to use the Gauss Rifle, you don't need anything else. You don't need any ballistic ammo. I just happen to have a lot on me. Endurance you could easily go down, simply because you're tanky anyways and you want to avoid being hit anyways, so you could live without that. Yeah, and Perception, well, what you could do is you could just reduce luck Bio 3 and not use Class Freak without using Tormentor or anything. So it's definitely possible. Now that's pretty much it. Now we're going to take a look at the soon-to-be thumbnail, and that's basically it. I hope you did enjoy the video, guys. It was a real pleasure to do this, even though it was silly and stupid. Like, as I said, not a single good reason to use a stealth power armor character. Now when the game launched, there would probably be a argument why this could be beneficial, since you can use it in nuke zones, but nowadays we do have the Chinese stealth armor, so yeah, there's not a single niche use where you think you could say going with a power armor in stealth is better than with standard armor. Ultimately, as I said, it's either something you want to do for the challenge, just to be a bit more cautious while sneaking and have a bit more of a challenge, or you just say you want to have this heavy kind of sniper feel. I honestly just love the power armor skin, the redshift skin. The ghost rifles seem to be fitting. I really wanted to make a video with the ghost rifle again, just because the presidential power armor skin, the presidential ghost rifle skin was so cool, but didn't really fit on a communist character. And ultimately, last thing I want to say in this video is, yeah, I have good news. It's like in about 2 to 3 weeks, I should finally have a PS5, which means that the channel could see a lot of improvement. I really look forward to having better video quality. I will also invest into a better headset, so the audio quality is better. However, I feel like the worst problem with the audio at the moment is just that my PS4 is so loud, so you always hear that background noise, which should be way better with my new console. And yeah, last but not least, as I said, just better video quality overall. I do really appreciate every single one of you guys who's still here with me. I am well aware that the video quality overall is just not all that great, and I'm really looking forward to having better quality videos. Might as well, I have to look into it, how much room and how much time I can make up for my videos, but I think there's a good chance that once I have access to better video quality, I will get into doing a bit more with the channel, doing some little discussion videos and like essay forms where I discuss certain topics. That's something I wanted to do for quite a while now, but yeah, ultimately I just don't have good footage that I can use in the background, because I think if I'm making these one-shot takes from my character builds, the video quality isn't all that bad. But if I'm just talking for 20 minutes and want to have something in the background, yeah, it's getting more of a problem, I think. So ultimately, yeah, what I wanted to say is thanks a lot, guys, for sticking with me. Thanks a lot for all the support, all the comments. Really appreciate it. And yeah, bye, guys. See you in the next video.